Welcome to the Mystical Motherhood podcast. This is Chelsea, and I want you to create a happy family. I use my background in Western and Eastern medicine, birth, and ancient yogic practices to help the modern mother learn how to live a healthier life and create conscious children. This is your guide to fertility, conception, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and the early childhood years. Are you ready to live the life of your dreams? Welcome to episode number 25 of Mystical Motherhood's podcast. Thanks for joining us this week. Katerina is back again with a live session, and we go deep into her relationship with her partner. She was going through a period of growth where she was isolating herself from him. And now he's in that period of growth because he is ready to have a baby. So he is going straight forward into battle to have this child and protect his family and create financial well-being. And so we really worked on how to get them on the same level and connect him back into his heart. And so women have the power to help the male get into their body. So I hope you learn a lot from this. Please subscribe right into mysticalmotherhood.com with any questions. Thanks for joining us today.
So this morning, particularly, we have on our third floor, we're building a porch, and I had the window open a little bit more. And literally, and this is the second time it happened to me, it was pure silence. Like my eyes were still closed, but like I was awake. And it was like pure silence. And this one bird was just singing. And it was literally like, it was just so heavenly. It was literally the prettiest like tone ever. And it's just like, that's all I've heard for like minutes and longer. And then there was another time where I was driving, I think it was Monday, literally. And I drive through the city, from work to back home. It's only 2 miles, and driving through the city is always like chaotic. You hear beeping, honking, and people like yelling. It was the oddest thing. It was still a lot of commotion going on, but literally I heard nothing and like only birds. Like literally I heard nothing. And for a second I stopped. I was like, wait, I don't hear anything like going around me.
Right. So this is awesome you're bringing this up, because what it is remember when we talked about sensory awareness and they wanted you to become more sensory aware. So the way that they explained it to me, which was the goddess Isis, that at the time of conception, your awareness or your like heightened sensory system, so that's your taste, smell, touch, sound, everything is what you will attract in.
Right.
And so in order to get deeper into like that, I mean, other than what we've worked on before, the meditation and everything, but birds are a 7th dimensional sound system. They almost, it's like, so as you go through these higher dimensions and you're going to attract this higher vibrational being, they are going to look different. They're going to smell different. They're going to taste different. They're going to sound different. And so when I was like, start to pay attention to the sounds, around your system. And it's interesting that the birds, everywhere you go, there's an animal or a guardian that almost that holds the land. So when I go to really sacred places, I have to ask permission to enter the area. And the more energetic and more energy you hold, the more important that is. It's very important. And you'll learn, it's like, if you ever start to go to really sacred sites, you have to look for the guardians of the land.
Right.
What my teacher taught me, Celestine Star. And so that may be in whatever form. So, I mean, if there's 2 of you, you'll probably see 2 guardians. So that would be it will be something unusual that'll come by, like maybe 2 rabbits or a really loud bird that's like, or a bird may even come up. Like when I went to Stonehenge recently, we had to ask permission to go, and we both walked up and we stopped the car, and immediately in the middle of the morning, this little crow came up, and we rolled our window down, and it looked right at us and it started crowing at us. And she said, "See, we have permission to go now." And it's because the whole land becomes alive.
Right.
So as you start to awaken, and you have to really look for these signs and the way that it's not a coincidence that you're in the car and you're hearing the birds sing. It's just because you're becoming more sensory aware of nature and that awakening process within you, right?
Like literally, like because like at first it was just happening, and like I just, I was like I noticed it, but it wasn't like, it didn't pay full attention to it. And then like about a mile down the road, I was like, wait, I still hear like quietness, but I see all the commotion like kind of going on,
Yeah. And it's what you want to put your attention on. So if you're trying to amplify your sensory system, or even drop that in your subconscious 3 weeks ago, then somewhere that's going to live, like, oh, I should start to do that. And Guru Jagat said a really good story one time. She said she was just in some class. She said she was at like that salad place in Los Angeles, like some random salad place. And she was just eating a salad. And she's like, do you hear those mantras? And there was no mantras playing. But because she's that's the normal sound she's hearing, that she's constantly playing mantras and singing mantras, that's all she listens to. That's all she can hear. So her brain's functioning like that.
Right.
So if you start to tune into those things, that's what your awareness is going to see. And so as you go deeper into consciousness and you become more awake, these veils start to part, and you become, you are more aware of what really is there. And it feels so cool because you can focus on the negative or the chaos, or you can focus on this other world, right?
And it was like a sense of like, just like peace, literally, just like all over, just like calm peace. Like it's like a blanket of like love. I don't know, like a hug, or, it was awesome. But like I said, like that's been happening more and more. Well, this week anyways.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing is, it's just on the top of my mind, but social media and Facebook and the way that things pop up on social media, this is kind of an awareness thing. That's the same kind of way that consciousness, like when your third eye is open, you see a series of images that'll come through that telepathically speak to you. And so you can often, like, if you look at, and I believe I know that's why technology is invented. It's a way of awakening us.
Yeah.
So when you see all these images coming through, and then you can telepathically read someone from far away and have a relationship. Like, I've had relationships with people for years that I have never met. And like, do you know what I mean, we all have that. We have these interdimensional relationships, and that's kind of the age of Aquarius, of what you pay attention to and who you're reading. But it's awakening people into this new age. And it's a really cool way to think about your environment.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But it just sounds funny. It's like, you're right. Like,
it sounds funny until it happens. And you're like, oh my God, my third eye's open, and I'm seeing a series of images that are just like Facebook.
Just like, right.
And you have to get so attuned that you can handle it, and then also read it. So just to start to think is like, as what you're looking at and what you choose to look at and how that affects your system. So anything new happened with your job this week?
No, not really. But I did just like nonchalantly, just like something came up to me of this job, like search. Yeah. And this, like, one job came up, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty interesting. And I just kind of saved it. I just like sent it to my email, and I have it in there. Like, I was like, maybe I'll just apply for it.
Did you apply to it yet?
I'm going to.
Yeah.
I didn't do it yet.
Because they said something about that.
Oh.
I don't know what they said, but they said in a few weeks they said something like that. Might be that one. So it could be. I didn't do a full reading on it, but they blatantly said it. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Because literally there was one today, and then one on Monday.
Because are you only applying to things that you'd really like?
Yeah, and basically it's more of, I think I figured it out. I don't like the sales part. I don't love, and I know that, but I do love the interaction, like, that I do, and like the support and the marketing and the media that, I am in. So that's basically what it came up. One was marketing for University of Penn, which is right here. And another one was for media planner and not buying, but like kind of development.
Marketing for the University of Penn sounds really good.
Yeah.
And it would have the leave plan if you had a family, and it would have the type of things you need to think about when you're like going to, set yourself up to go on maternity leave.
Right. So, and like I said, I live 15 minutes away from the campus.
Have you ever thought about going in and meeting them?
So I'm currently working. They are my clients right now. So Perfect. I know the VP. Yeah. So I know the VP to the president, like very well.
You're supposed to go and talk to them, they said. Like they just said, is she talking to them? Like, so we can do like a reading on it, but like, they're like, yay. Okay. So yeah, go and speak with actually, it's like you need to tell them, hey, I'm really interested in this position.
Right.
I've been looking for something. I'm ready to transfer and I want to, start something. And I just think you should open it up like that.
Okay. That's exciting because literally when we had that conversation about the job and you're like, take a break, that one came up, then it went away. Then it came up again.
And you can still take a break, but make it things like the more energy you gain, the more things come to you.
Right.
So you don't have to do it. And so in a weird way, this is kind of at your feet. And so it's not like you have to apply or go really hard with it. You just go into his office or you just say, hey, I noticed that there's a position. I would love to talk to you about it. Let me know what it's about. And then that way it's not like you're pushing anything. It's like, how did this happen? And I'm here and then we're here and then it works out.
Right. Okay. No.
Does that make sense to you? So it's not a difficult thing. When things get super difficult, I always wonder, is it meant for me?
Right. I feel that way too, because literally I already have a really good relationship with them since I've been working on them with some things. And he's he's a very nice guy. I always just write it, reach out to him for other things. So that feels really just very comfortable. It's not going out of my way to kind of push this.
I'd ask his name, but I don't know if he wants his name, anyone to listen to it, but it's okay. I think it'll be a good thing. Do it now because it's the new moon today. So do it this week. It's not a bad time to do it.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And then are you having any frustration with your partner right now of his ability and interest in maintaining health, wellness, and fertility?
Not on that part because we started doing acupuncture.
Okay. Tell me how that's going.
So I just started doing it. I got together. So it was last week and he loved it. So I already booked another appointment for next week because I'll be ovulating at that point. So I kind of just wanted to, and then I started him on, herbal medication, which he takes daily. And he's I think there's an energy of more excitement for him because I'm including him in this kind of world that I've been doing,
Right.
The only frustration is, I think so we're in the process of buying another house for investment. And, it's just been a little, he's just been extra stressed about it because and I was you put this stress onto you, But,
it feels to me, intuitively, immediately, it's because it's he knows he's going to have to be at some point, some decision is going to be made where he's financially a father. And so when this happens, it's I can give you my own example. This is me speaking, not them speaking right now. But for example, my husband went right back to work after we had a baby immediately. Right. And in his view of the world, which I thought it was abandonment and trauma, that's how I viewed it. And he viewed it as I have responsibilities now and I need to take care of my family and I need to make money in order to, and it's he went into overdrive of that male protector, hunter gatherer, you are now a mother kind of thing. Right. We're all tribal. It felt like that. Yeah. And it could be a little bit of that is coming up for him.
I have a feeling it is because he keeps saying, he's this is my investment to our family. This is our future. This is for our kids if we need to sell houses and make money. And I'm I get it, but other than that, he's
psychologically preparing for it in a lot of interesting ways. As you're doing your own preparation, he's doing it. And so you have to be kind of honored of like, okay, let him work it out.
Right. So that's why I was like, I backed off because he's, the acupuncture is going good. He really liked it. The vitamins, the herbs, I think it's helping him, putting more nutrients in him. So it's like his balance of mood is like lifting up, it's kind of like counterbalancing each other. And I just think it's like now, for some reason, I feel like now we're both kind of on the same pathway where I was kind of doing my thing and only focusing on me, never included him. And he felt that resentment and it was like clashing.
Right. But a lot of times when you're going through that process of like seeing your shit and then like clearing it out, you have to be isolated. And it's not something that anyone else can do with you. And then once it starts to be cleared and you're become, a little saner, that's the best way I describe it, is then you're able to work with somebody else and be a team member. Because when you're going through that awakening, however deep it is for anyone, you have to be isolated through it.
And I 100% agree with you, because that whole time, I don't think I could have handled working on me. And like you said, like if I got pregnant or anything else, like I think it'd all be shit out of luck, It would just be throwing everything against the wall, seeing what's sticking at this point.
Yeah. And I also, for anyone listening, the importance of being bonded to the male or whoever I don't know how if you're going to have the baby the old fashioned way, the importance of being bonded as the male female is vital. Because I've even read in books, like way futuristic books. I don't know if it's true or not. It's just something I read and it caught my attention, is that the children won't even come down to the planet in the golden age unless the orgasm and the orgasm and the minds of the couple are completely interlocked and in love. And there's a lot of women now that don't have partners as they're getting older and they don't have partners and they want to have a baby, but they don't really think about, okay, wait a minute, I don't have the right partner yet.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's like they can do it however they're going to get it. And that's okay. And that's still bringing a child down, but you have to kind of get that alignment. And then each of you have to go through your own process. And he's doing that. That's just awesome.
Wait, yeah. So the one thing with him, and I don't know if it's because it's like a Pisces or just middle child, he always feels like he needs to, after our IVF appointment. And of course, right away, they were like, we need to do IVF. And our visit was about $300 just for that visit, literally.
Oh, my God.
Literally. And, then they kind of walked through, like, you're going to have to start doing diagnostic testing. You're going to have to start doing this. You're going to have to start doing that. And they're like, and I had a $4,000 deductible until like insurance could start kicking in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a big blowout of just, and I know it was him like freaking out. He kept saying like, this isn't how I want to do it. We're going to waste all this money. And then it just kept going spiraling and snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. But I know it was like, it's never the money. Cause like, well, if that was what was needed, like we could figure it out. But that fear factor, I think, just dropped on him because the doctor was like, we'll get you pregnant as soon as as next month, something like that. And I think he was just like,
right. Crap. Or like the statistics of if you don't and you drop that kind of money, it's like there's so many worries around IVF if you were to choose that one day.
And like in my gut and the meeting, I also didn't feel like 100%. So I was like, I know this isn't the answer, but I don't know if like it took him, if it took me to get him there to kind of wake up and kind of be like, okay, I'm on board now, because it changed after that.
Yeah. So one thing, if you're comfortable, you can give me his name and I can see how he's feeling if you want me to. I can erase it if you'd like me to after, but you have to create almost a holographic picture of your future with him. And so when I know a baby's about to come in, this is two things I'll go over: the hologram and then the baby. So a lot of women, I have to walk them through what it's going to be like to feel that baby and hold that baby. Or, like say if I have a client that has had a lot of miscarriages and I know she's about to keep the baby, they'll often walk me through she has to actually see herself as pregnant because she was so afraid to actually go there, because it was like, will she lose the baby? Will she get to the end? Will she? And so I have to show her, okay, no, watch your body grow, watch it, watch you conceive, watch yourself birth this baby. What does the birth look like? And that is not only, creating it, but it's also letting that subconscious fear go if that's impossible. And then for the women that are about to get pregnant, I often walk them through, oh my gosh, you have this baby in your house. I see the future. I see you in your corner office with your whatever, your windows, your blinds. How does that feel? I see the child walking around. You have a second one coming, and you have to experience that. So part of you, for both of you, is you both have to create a hologram of what it would look like in the future. And you can do this with anything, like a holographic picture of him being the father.
Right.
And you being the mother, because right now you're not that.
Right.
Is that possible? Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. No, it does. I do it with a lot of different things and aspects of my life. So it makes a lot of sense,
right.
Why you apply that to obviously this huge thing you're going through.
Right. But we forget almost in the big things to do that. It's like in the little things, like I need a new job. And you're like, I want to see myself at that job. And you will get it, but it's like these big emotional things of like, I could lose this seriously and it could actually emotionally hurt me. Those sometimes are the things we forget to create the hologram around.
Exactly. So it's like, I don't understand, it's like my mind never went there.
Okay. Give me his name 3 times fully. And then your name too.
His full name, like with middle name or no?
Whatever he goes by.
Okay. Joshua Howe, Joshua Howe, Joshua Howe, Katarina Bendak Howe, Katarina Bendak Howe, and Katarina Bendak Howe.
Okay. So your energies right now, it's like he is on the go with this. It's like you've kind of calmed down a little bit around. I mean, it feels like you're just like, okay, I trust however this is going to happen. And he's like got his hand out energetically and he's like, forward we move. Like he's taking it as like a war battle. You know what does that feel accurate when we say that? Like, it does. Like he's on a high horse and you're like kind of watching him like a peasant, you would like looking up at this guy on this high horse and he's like, to the battle we go. And he's kind of looking at it like that. Does he do that with a lot of things in life?
A lot.
Yeah. Like, okay. So now he takes some, hesitation to move forward and then he moves forward with intensity, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Does that make you, and then you're kind of like shy and laughing about it, but it almost creates that it's a very male feminine dynamic with you too. The way that you kind of like that, you're like, finally, like he'll take control and he'll do things, and it creates a sense of trust and also a sense of like, he can take care of me.
I know. And that's exactly kind of where I'm at this point. And it's like, right. And it's like, but I feel like secure inside. I don't feel like it's all spiraling into, a bad kind of situation. And with it, it's like they're showing me kind of, I don't know, maybe you had some life in, it's at like a world war, not world war, but it's a civil war. They're showing me a very blatant scene around the Civil War time, around that time, like the slave time. And it's like he scoops you up and he gives you a kiss. There was something there. It's very obvious. I'm seeing that. But it's that old kind of relationship where you get swept off your feet in moments of time, but then he goes off, and distances himself, but he'll come back. Yep. 100%. He comes back and it makes you feel safe. And it also brings a lot of romance to the relationship because there's that moment of distance between you two. And then he comes back and then passions reunited. Does that feel true when we say that? Very true. Okay. So when he goes to battle, that was a battle, I think, in the past. Well, actually, we could talk about it if you want to. Does this feel accurate to you at all? Does it feel like
Is there anything coming up for you when I say these things?
So I have a yes and no, because when I feel like I'm always drawn to more of like basically like history wise, or more of always an Egyptian Roman time, and then like what time was the Civil War? Was like what, 1800?
1800s. I mean, you could, that's another life. I mean, it could.
Right. And
right.
it's always like my favorite kind of, it's just like, I feel like, it's very comfortable. It's like right, in a past life or something, but that kind of aspect is always, it feels like I kind of know it and feel it and been there for some reason.
In the Romans. Okay.
Right.
They said, yes, that's accurate. I mean, there's been millions of lives you probably had in all these different places. And if you wanted to, being here on Earth is the opportunity, because of the moon, is to go through those lives and to clear them one by one. But oftentimes what you're doing with the work you're doing with people now is you're doing the same thing.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Is there anything else that you're seeing around this, or I can keep going?
No, keep going. Because you kind of mentioned it, a lot of it at this point.
So when he's like, so now bringing it back, so that was just a general reading on his personality and like where he is right now. So when he goes straight forward and at things, is there any fear in you or anything that wants you to like come back to your level? Because it's almost like you're not fully aligned in some ways. It's like you were moving forward before, and now he's moving really forward, really, really fast. And you're kind of just watching him like a woman would like take it, like that's what they're showing me, like that old energy where you take a towel and cover your mouth and be like, oh, kind of like, oh my gosh, like, and then you're like, watch him go. And it's almost like we need to kind of tell him it's going to be okay, because unless he needs to go through this, but he's going to go through the same process you just went through.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, because it feels like he's going all in and he's ready. He's getting ready.
Well, I told you, like that. It just all of a sudden his mindset just flipped, and it just like started like being like, all right, I'm all for it. Like being like health wise with food and working out and doing acupuncture, doing all these herbs and supplements. Spending time with family, like walking our dogs, being outside. So, and he's like, finally, he's like, you know what, I'm going to start applying. I'm going to start looking at jobs. I'm going to start, changing myself. I was like, okay,
And that's good. And then so what they're telling him to do is tell him to create like a checklist. He likes organization and goals. So rather than having him like, he feels like he needs to get it all done now, right now. Right. Because at any moment things could change, and then he's going to feel out of whack if they're not done. But and a lot of us do that. So what he really needs to do is he needs to make a checklist. They're showing me, and it's like, and it's a year long. Not so he's like he wants to do it all in like a couple of months. So create that checklist and have him do like longer arrows of like, okay, I can get this done within 3 weeks, and like you can help him do that, because he can't really organize himself as well right now. He thinks he's super organized, but it's not going to be as accurate or as punctual, they're saying, if he doesn't like kind of calm down. And another thing they want you to do, which you can do in the hologram, but you're going to like sit on this bed with him. So I think I've told you about the aligning of chakras.
Yes.
When you fight, or someone else taught me that, like when you fight with your husband, when I fight with my husband, we're supposed to spoon each other.
Right.
What you never want to do when you're mad. Ever. Gross.
No.
But they want you to, they're showing me this very vividly. They want you to, even if you don't do it in person, you can try to, but sit and you want to put both of your hands at his heart level, because right now his energy is going from his head and his penis and it's not at his heart.
And that's literally how I think that's how it's always been.
and a lot of men is like that. My husband's like that too. And so in Tantra, in Tantra, the Tantrikas will take, so if the energy is always in the body, in the bottom part of the body, the Tantrikas will take their hands and they'll move the energy up, or down. Oh, no, it's down. It's in their head. So you move the energy down through the top of their head into their body, just like touching so what you can do is like you just touch their back and you don't have to tell them what you're doing.
Right.
Because you'd be like, stop that. You're in my face. Right. So, but it's like you take the energy from the top of the head and you drag it down so it's into the body. And then you can leave it at the heart level or all the way down. So he's more connected to that energy at the heart level and at the penis level in a balanced way.
Okay.
Does that make that? I mean, that for me, when I think about it that way, I was like, oh, duh. And so it's almost like they want you to do that too, because he's so in his head right now.
He is. And I know he is. It's either here or right at his like, penis level. And it's like, then it's just like crazy, like, I want sex like 24/7.
Right.
Like,
or he's just in his mind and not really, he's just like, he's future tripping, constantly
right.
future tripping.
Exactly.
Which is not okay either. So,
okay.
So to get him into his body, you can do the thing where you sit on the side and you hold his heart and you just like put both hands, one hand on the back of his heart and one hand on the front of his heart, because there's this region, which I think I've maybe told you about this meditation where you ground into the earth and then you ground into the heavens, or you connect to both. And then you go into the heart and you go into the sacred region of the heart, because it's called this, I think it's just the sacred region. That's where I call it. But it's in the back. It comes through the energetic hole is from the back of the heart. And that's the place of creation. So if you can, one day you're going to hear this, you're going to read about it and you're going to be like, oh, that's what she was talking about. Because in these higher dimensions, they don't create from their mind. They create from the heart level. And so for you guys to create a child, I think this is why they're getting into this with you. For you guys to create a really conscious child, or however you create it, your hearts still need to be at that same level together. Right. So it's even like you creating the hologram for his heart to be there and speaking to him to get into his body. So a way to do that is like ask him, well, how does that make you feel in your body? Just as simple as that with a male, they have to think about it. Oh yeah. Where are you feeling that would be another question. So his drive to get the house or battle, it's like, well, where are you feeling that in your body?
So when you do that, when you sit on the side and kind of put your hands at, front and back.
Yeah.
Is there anything like, just like, do you, is there a certain, like, just ask those questions, or like, what do you suggest?
So what they're showing me for you, this is specific to you, they're saying, and they want you to take, I can't make this up. They want you to take, like, the energy will be from your palm center, they're saying, and they want you to like bounce the energy back and forth through your palms. This is real spiritual work and also, like priestess work. Right. So you bounce the energy back and forth. So as you bring it down and you imagine it flowing into the heart region. And then you bounce the energy back and forth between the heart, like, because the sacred, the entrance of the sacred region is behind the heart. Right. So you want to be in the middle of the chest and just allow that energy to kind of flow through, and it kind of creates a new circuit for him, is what they're saying. This is specific to you, but anyone else can use this too. I've never heard them say this. But another thing is when you're having conversations in your kitchen in the mornings before you go to work. I think that happens sometimes. Or at night or wherever. It seems like it's in their kitchen. But is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that moment when he's not, because he can be more in his heart, he's more in his penis in the bed, but it can be a little bit more in his heart in the bedroom. But in the kitchen when he's in his head, they're saying to sit down and almost, or actually be at his level when you can, but then sit down with him and be like, so where are you feeling that? And what does that feel like? Just out of curiosity, like, oh, because that would feel like a lot of stress in my heart, or I would feel that like in my stomach. Do you feel that too? And it will kind of remind him of like, how do I connect back to my body right now?
So it's funny. I always tell him, like, I know exactly like what's on his mind or how he's feeling. Cause I'm like, I feel your anxiety.
Yeah.
He's how do you know I'm anxious? I'm like, Josh, I'm like, your energy is so crazy.
Yes.
I'm like, I feel it. And I feel it always like in my chest or like in my gut, you know?
Right.
And it makes me like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting like, my stomach's getting upset.
And imagine what he feels like.
Yeah.
And so this is so common with so many women and men. At least, I mean, it is for me. It's like, I know when he's in his worry experience. I know. I'm like, you need to stop doing this because you're ruining my day. But you have to also separate yourself from that so that there's like, it's like you can use the mirror sometimes, you know, the mirrors I showed you of like, it's okay to bounce it back a little bit because you don't always need to take it on.
Okay.
When he goes to battle that you have before.
Yes. Yeah. You're 100% right. Yeah, I have.
Yeah. And you can appreciate, he really likes to be praised for the work he's doing. All men like to be praised because of their egos. And that's great to do that. But then, you know, bring him back to reality of like, okay, you can sell the house, but then like, it's not the only thing of your life. It's not the only thing that exists. It's going to make you stressed out.
Okay.
There's a lot of other things going on, you know? Right? I mean, that's what he kind of gets stuck in that thing and then he can't, you know, and you're just like, it's not the biggest deal. Like there's other things, like chill out and listen to the birds.
Exactly. It's a constant,
yeah.
It's a constant, daily, you know, one day at a time.
And so I want you to close your eyes and see yourself on this battlefield. And this could be multiple lives. Who knows? They're only showing me this one right now, but they said yes, multiple. But we're going to work with just this one. So I want you to see him on this battlefield and you're like at the edges. This is, you know, kind of like a painting of this. And I want you to just say, you can come down from your high horse in your mind.
Okay.
And you can come to my level and you don't need to take this as like war. And then I kind of want you just imagine that like that scene kind of burns from your consciousness. I want you to use the purple flame and then allow rain to fall down. Allow wind to blow through this painting, this scene. And all you're left with is the hologram of the two of you. And then I just want you to see the energy circle between your chakras and specifically between your heart, creating a figure 8. So a lot of times, so when I had a twin, I'll tell you a secret. I had a twin flame that I worked with and we would always run each other. I still work with, and we always run each other's energy. So because I have this psychic relationship with this person, but it was going so crazy that you have to use a circuit, like a figure 8 energy with particularly the male. So I would put us each like make him on one side and me on the other side. And I would run this purple flame around us. So it separated our energies, but kept us connected. And so if you're feeling like you're grinding with him sometimes, put him in one side of this flame and then go into space and do this and he'll go to one side and you go to one side and then you run the fire outside of your body so that the flame is taking the energy. It really helps, as weird as it sounds.
Yeah.
So in this,
yeah. I mean, I can use it for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, the flame energy between you. That's what they're saying to use. And also just take that sacred flame and you can run it through each of your chakras in this holographic experience with the colors that, the applicable colors, but with the figure 8 energy. And this is a really good idea before you have sex, even if you do it in your mind's eye.
Okay.
Because in sex, you can create all kinds of realities. Like if you start to project through your mind the situation, he'll feel that.
Right.
So that's an ancient tantric priestess way of doing it too. Like if you want to create an explosion, you project it from your mind and that'll happen.
Right.
Right. Like, I mean, just like people like imagine they're having sex with somebody different and that is kind of occurring. It's just the same if you're doing it with your partner, but you're creating a more magnificent event. And you want, back to creating a really conscious child, you want that moment of conception
to be
to be like a volcano, like Kundalini volcano.
Like on both, right, exactly.
But it can't be where you're grinding and you're like doing it because you're at the grind, but because you're so connected that it has to be that way.
So I feel like for like a while we were grinding because like we were like literally, I felt like it was like two different planets, you know?
That's why we're talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah. And recently, like it's gotten a lot like better.
Right.
Like together. So, which, you know, kind of makes sense for a lot of different steps and things that have been going since we've, you know, I put it into my mind that I'm like, I'm ready, you know, I'm ready to get pregnant. So it's been, you know, a journey.
I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. If you did, please leave messages, leave comments, rate the podcast. You can find everything and more at mysticalmotherhood.com. You can ask questions. You can write in and ask me absolutely anything, and I will answer it to you personally. You can work with me privately, and you can buy the book Mystical Motherhood on Amazon. My new book, Fertile, will be out in 2019, and I'm so excited to release it because it will really teach women how to prepare their mind, body, and spirit for conception and creating an enlightened child. I look forward to having you back here next week. Thanks.
To turning off, and I go through and I say, this is not your home. I'm doing work here. You need to leave. I'm not, you know, getting in your way. So for you, I'm bringing it up as an example, is like, you need to say, this is our neutral zone.
Right.
This is our home of love.
Okay.
This is a bed of love. And this is a house of neutrality. And we're on the same page here. And it's like you create it in the energy and you expand that out from your heart center. And it creates that, just like we were talking about the birds, back full circle. Right. You'll create that reality.
Okay.
And you just can see it in your mind's eye of like, I mean, just like we were talking a long time ago of what can you create in your home that everything is very perfect and you're so organized and it's just, you know, what you did. Right. You're reorganizing your home in those ways and you're building stuff just like you said you've been doing. But now it's like create the energy with that and create a matrix around your home. So you can use sacred geometry for this. Whatever shape comes to mind, and you can spread it out and you can do it anywhere you go. So if you're going to go to your mom's house, you project ahead of time. And that's something else the priestesses would do. So they would project their auric fields ahead of time before they arrived.
So it's funny you bring this up. My mother.
Yeah.
Because she called me. So I told you that I told her about, you know, we went to see the doctor. They said this, and she was like very, I want to say, she had her guard down. So it was very like supporting, you know? And like in my mind, I'm like, watch, I give it a week and she will say something. And she did. So today she was like, so what did you decide on? I'm like, so I think in the past I would have triggered and like started yelling like a maniac, like a freaking maniac. Right. But I was like, Mom, what don't you understand? Like where, like, you don't like we had the conversation. Like, this isn't you being supportive at all. Like, I don't understand what you don't get. Like, that's not supporting me. That's not loving me. I'm like, why don't you just have the faith that it's going to happen? Not ask, what are you going to do? Like, I'm not going through this. You said, like, I even said to you, like, I don't want to go through the doctors. And you said all these words, but like, just because you are getting back into your own demise, whatever it is, like, you're not bringing me down to this level. And then she started getting back at me. And
her reaction when you did that was like, they're showing me you dropped the plates from her hand.
Literally.
Because you never stood up for yourself like that before.
No. And she like started coming back at me and started yelling. She's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, Mom. She's like, well, what does Josh's mom do? I was like, it supports me. It said it's going to happen and it's fine. And that's what I need from you. And if you don't want to say that, and if you don't want to do that and you want to be in this negative field, then I'm not going to tell you anything. And then it went silent.
And that's another example of what you choose to have in your environment.
Yeah.
And so again, back to genetics is your environment, your diet. And we're going to go back through the mother conversation, but I want you to just give yourself some credit because your environment, your diet, your thoughts, and your emotions all will create the DNA of the child. And so it's like, do you want to have violent TV on all day? No. Do you want to have people telling you that's not possible? No.
No. Right.
But you've never done this to her and you drop the plate. So you're going back to your childhood. They're showing me a scene. It's like, if you would have never done that before, ever. No. And so you shocked her. Like a palpitation went through her heart. Like, in the olden days where they'd be like, I'm having a heart attack. It's like that. You shocked her. You silenced her.
I silenced her and I felt so invigorated afterwards. I was like, this is great. I don't feel like for her to say that. I was like, that's not even like whatever. That didn't even penetrate my, she couldn't get through me.
Right. You have to choose your environments really, really correctly. And this will happen when you do have the baby or however you have the baby. You have to be like, do I want my child in that environment? No. Do I want to be in that around the negativity when I'm pregnant? No.
No. Right. Exactly. So it was it's funny. Like it literally happened like 20 minutes before we got on the call.
That's good. That's a change of your environment. Like,
right.
So like that's how many things are changing around you. There's 4 things we talked about. That's a possibility of high change soon.
Right. So there's been a lot of things moving.
Yeah. So that's good. Do you want to work on anything with that? Just why don't you, when you had that conversation with her, if she does it again, I feel like it's going to be shorter and shorter and shorter each time, just so you know.
Okay.
And so she may bring it up again, but you're just going to you're not even going to go into it. You're going to slice. Like they want you to just like, you would take a knife energetically. You just say, I'm not going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Boom. And then it's like, I'm not going to talk about this. And then it slices. And with more and more things with her, that's how you're going to be. Because they always use the kitchen with her. Like she's got a knife, like cutting the cheese.
It's how, basically, it's always a kitchen for some reason in my life. Every relationship.
The kitchen's the heart of the home.
Yeah. So it's always the kitchen and with her. And so it's just funny. It was just like, of course you would bring you out of like nowhere. She just brought it up and she's like, so what are you going to do? And I'm like, well, let's back up and let me reiterate our conversation. Cause apparently you don't remember any of it.
Right. And so when she does that, you just burn it, use the water, use the elements of alchemy. So you use the water or the fire, the water, the wind, and you're just left with nothing.
Yep.
Good. This was good. Any other questions or things you want to go over? Are you feeling good?
No, I feel like I feel really good.
Good.
This was